Now, before actually seeing what Cenk has to say to Asmongold, I want a little bit of context. I want people to remember what the Young Turks used to be like back in 2015. And I want you to pay attention here, right? I want you to look at this part, right here. And this is what I'm about to show you. And without further ado, let's listen to it.
I have decided what that Boing Boing chick was doing. She was doing a jaywalking bestiality. Like, yeah, it might technically be a crime, but let's not waste the court's time on jaywalking.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair enough.
But here comes the controversial part, the part I shouldn't say. I believe that if I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, where you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Okay.
I want you to remember Ada's face, like, to the point where you stare at it, and when you close your eyes, you can see it in the back of your mind. Because it's going to be important later, right? Like, we're going to see this face being done quite a lot during these 1 minute and 34 seconds of the entire skit.
Okay, now why? Why did that happen? It's the dumbest thing I've said.
It really is the dumbest thing you said.
No, I'll tell you why. Because was the case that we covered where there was like a guy or a girl or something that was pleasuring a horse, and the horse came to a conclusion, right? So who got harmed?
You know that people who are, okay, look, not to be a downer about what you're saying, because what you're saying sounds kind of funny, but a lot of people who are being raped can actually, like, have an orgasm. So, like, if a guy is being raped, he can have an orgasm. Like, you can't say, if you come, that means you wanted it. That's not the right way to go.
But number one, you're being an unbelievable downer.
I am, but that's the truth.
Number two, they're not both humans. Number three, I mean, if you really ask the horse, did you mind? The answer's got to be, no.
I just want to say, my theory is that actual magic runs through Cenk's entire bloodline. Like with Hassan Piker, I call him the Vizier of the Desert. He's got the Jewel of Agrabah that protects him from TOS violations. Nothing he says on Twitch would ever get it bad. Like, that is some magical shit right there. And with Cenk, he's kind of like the Sheikh of the Shah, which is able to bedazzle women with his voice. Like he's got this magical, romantical energies that he says something to a woman, and she just gets baffled, she gets fascinated. She doesn't know how to respond to his charms. We get to see here with Anna here, like, as I mentioned before, if you remember the previous facial expression, and now look.
Do you see what I'm saying? No.
This is such an awkward conversation.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it be.
I do want to point out this, though, right? Say what you will, let's cast moral judgments and all of that. But the reality is that it was funny. Like, this is what the Young Turks used to be, and this is the context that I want to talk about. All of you now, without exception, you're smiling, okay? Like, I'm willing to bet your lips are all the way to your ear. This is relaxing, it's cathartic, it's amusing. It was a pleasurable show. Like, yeah, sure, like, Cenk is demeaning himself, and they're talking all this nonsense and whatever, but it's funny. And we go from that to this.
Hey, if you're a Democrat and you're criticizing the right wing, now think about it if the shoe was on the other foot. Now, this brother comes along. I don't know who Assman is. I mean, people say maybe that he's got a following, but I've never heard of him, right? And his brother and his
Look how angry he is all of a sudden. Look how angry he is. And like, shots fired. This boomer take of like, I'm going to demean someone by pretending I don't know who they are. Has no idea who this assman is. Well, I'm pretty sure he knows who David Pesos is. Pretty sure he knows who Atheism is Unstoppable is. I'm pretty sure he knows who Hassan is, who has a terrorist on his stream, and appeared on a almost monthly basis in the American newspapers because he's threatening senators and stuff. I'm pretty sure he knows what that is, but those aren't the problem. Problem is this Assman guy. What did this Assman guy do?
conspirator, Jägermeister or whatever, right? But this guy's talking about, run over protesters. I don't mind it, he said. So you don't mind extreme violence, running over somebody with a car, okay?
Okay, you know what? I keep hearing this from the left constantly, like their obsession with defending protesters who block the roads. And you know what, Cenk? You won me over. I agree. It's horrible and it shouldn't be done. You know what should be done? If a protester blocks the street, 25 years in prison. How about that? You know, like, you can protest. No one is saying you can't protest, just not on the streets. If you protest on the streets and you manage to stop a single car, 25 years in prison and maybe $5,000 fine for every single car that you stopped. Would that be acceptable? Because, like, here's what I don't get. Why am I being punished? Like, what the fuck have I done? I'm driving my car there, you know, and this is like something that actually happened to me in real life. Driving my car to the vet because my cat was sick, and all of a sudden these soy boy chuckleheads, 5 of them, decided to block my street. They were from USR, a party in Romania. And so I had to find out who they vote for, and since that day I consistently vote against them out of fucking spite. And my favorite take is from their side, going like, oh my god, but that's so petty, that's so irrational. And my counter argument is like, do you think blocking a street is rational or not petty? Like, I'm going to fight irrationality with irrationality, and motherfucker, you've no idea how irrational I can be, right? So in order to prevent that from happening, Cenk, in order to make sure that such a thing doesn't happen anymore, 25 years in prison for protesters that block the streets. With the only exception, of course, if your protest is genuinely large, like if you have 10,000 people on the streets, yeah, okay, fine. You know, because then it's just a matter of volume. Like, you gotta have people on the streets because there's so many. And then it's different because it's announced on the radio, people are aware that there's a protest downtown, they take alternative routes. But the idea of like 10 individuals just blocking traffic for everyone else, and they're protesting against citizens who do pay taxes, who don't have to put up with that shit, why should it be allowed? And so, yeah, 25 years in prison. And by the way, you know why they do it? It's like, they announce it why they do it. You know, it's in the Antifa handbook. Like, the reason they do it is because they want to test what is the police response time. Like, how long does it take for the police to arrive at that bridge? So that when they actually do protesting, you know, when they do the Summer of Love shit, they actually know the response time and which bridges to block and which streets to block, so that their guys can do as much damage to other citizens' businesses as humanly possible. And so, yeah, I disagree with Asmongold. I agree with Cenk on this one. Sure, you know, you shouldn't run them over. You should put them 25 years in prison. Every single one of them.
But you know what? Why don't we instead arrest them for exercising one of the most fundamental American rights, freedom of speech? The one, remember, that.
And by the way, the American constitutional rights, as far as I know, I'm not an expert, but I think it's for American citizens, right? Like, I'm not an American. I don't get American constitutional rights in Romania, right? It doesn't work that way. And so, like, let's think about this. Like, let's say that 10,000 Romanians would go to Saudi Arabia. For whatever reason, you know, like maybe we're fleeing poverty. This is the left-leaning acceptable reason, right? Like, we're fleeing poverty. If we stay in poverty, we become criminals. So like, the socioeconomic factors would turn us into hardcore criminals. And so, like, we're fleeing to Saudi Arabia in order to avoid becoming hardcore criminals. But in Saudi Arabia, we start protesting, and we're blocking their roads, and we're protesting against the fact that we can't drink alcohol, and we're protesting against the fact that the police and vice and virtue are going after our gays, and they're not letting our teenagers have casual sex. Well, what do you think, like, Saudi Arabia is going to do in that situation? What do you think Qatar would do, or any other Middle Eastern nation would do? They would deport us. That's what they would do. Immediately. They would probably say that we're a subversive element, or that we're doing sedition, especially like if we're protesting and blocking roads to the government and shit, right? So like, no, I don't think that what Asmongold is saying is that baffling. It's like, oh, I never heard this before, or it only happened in Nazi Germany. No, it's like pretty much like 90% of the world outside the West behaves like this. Like, if you go there, especially like if you go there without any documents or anything, like you just hop past their border, not give a single shit about their laws, and then you start making trouble, you're blocking roads, you're protesting against their national laws and shit, yeah, you get deported. If you're lucky. Usually they put you in prison and then they deport you.
You guys all pretended you were in favor of? I know some of them meant it, but apparently a lot of them, including Assman and Jägermeister, didn't mean it.
Yeah, the free speech thing, you know, like, many people have principles, and, you know, it's human nature that most people have their principles, and you can stretch them to a certain point. But after a certain point, they break. And usually that point is a decade of humiliation, and then followed by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. If you have like Cenk's side, which is constantly like no platform for bigots, no platform for fascists, you know, we don't negotiate with Nazis, and at the same time they also get to label whomever they want a fascist, a bigot, and a Nazi, and Charlie Kirk apparently was all three of them. And when Charlie gets assassinated, you go on Reddit, you go on Blue Sky, you go on all these other places where leftists gather, and they're not just cheering about it, they're also using like their actual faces, you know, like they're showing that they're teachers, they're opinion influencers, they're people of high status, and they're not just cheering for it, but they're demanding more. They're saying, oh, well, here's a list, like Candace Owens should be on it, and Ted Cruz should be next, and Steven Crowder. So like, no matter how much you're for free speech, when you see that everyone around you is living under terror, like there was a poll which asked people like how comfortable they are to express themselves, and everyone outside the extreme far left was saying that they're terrified to say their own opinions. The extreme far left was the only ones that had no problem talking about what they feel like, and you can see it with Hassan Piker, you know, like he has no problem bringing a terrorist on his stream. And so like you live like that for a decade. You see how the left treats the January 6th protesters, you see how the left treats the QAnon shit, and you see how they're treating MGTOWs, and, you know, like various other subgroups and subcultures that just pop up on the internet that treat it like they're a threat to the safety of the U.S. You know, on one hand, you have Joe Biden saying, oh, well, you can't overthrow the government unless you have F-15s. And then apparently, like, I'm being told to believe by the mainstream media that some chuckleheads that weren't even paramilitary, just random schmucks, were able to almost overthrow their democracy. Like, give me a fucking break, right? And you see all of this. You know, you see the double takes. You see your friends getting banned for memes. You see your account getting suspended because you made a joke. And then you see Hassan Piker talking about, oh, he wants to see the blood of the capitalists overflowing the streets. And you're like, what the fuck is that? You know, what the fuck is that? You see Destiny being happy that a firefighter got shot and saying, like, every person that goes to a Trump rally should get what that firefighter got. And at some point, you're like, okay, well, they're not following my... Like, we don't live by my rules. We don't live by the society that I want to create. That society doesn't exist. So, okay, let's play by their game then. Like, if these are the patch notes, we're going to just play the meta. And they're horrified now. It's like, oh my goodness, the right-wingers are playing like the left. I do agree with Cenk. You know, it's unfortunate. I generally want free speech, not for myself. I want free speech for you. Like, I want you to be able to say whatever you want. But I just don't see left-wing people agreeing with it. And until an internet bill of rights is formed, and until, like, this is codified into legislation that platforms shouldn't ban people for political opinions or political takes, we just gotta play the game that's being set to us with the patch notes that's being given.
They thought, oh, freedom of speech for me, to say that maybe you should be murdered or be made my slave. My freedom of speech, good. And by the way, I wouldn't cancel that. I don't mind him saying the terrible things that he says. Now we know who he is. So, and I'm not afraid of his speech.
Again, Asmongold saying that protesters should be used for slave labors, or that people that block roads, if they get run off, nothing should happen to the driver, which, by the way, is legislation in some states, okay? And this is also happening that in certain cases, like, drivers did stop, and the protesters started banging on the car and becoming violent, right? So, with that in mind, Asmongold saying all these things pale in comparison with the stuff that Destiny or Hassan is saying. We gotta look in context. We gotta zoom out. This is not whataboutery. I really hate the fact it's like, oh, whataboutery, what about? You have to compare things. You know, like if you're saying that this is a problem, okay, it's a problem compared to what? Like, what else is there being said on Twitch? And how bad is it what Asmongold is saying? Like how much should I worry about Asmongold? Right? Is he the only one that's saying this? Like, are there other people that are saying this? No, apparently, like, there are people that are saying even worse stuff than what Asmongold is saying. And so it's like, okay, well, then it's not an Asmongold problem. It's a cultural issue. Like, everyone talks like that. Everyone talks like that on Twitch. So, like, why should I be horrified?
I'm not afraid that the majority of Americans are going to look at that and go, oh yeah, well, I think we should, instead of having freedom of speech, if anyone exercises freedom of speech in a way that I don't like politically, we should arrest them, take away all their rights, make sure they can't vote, and then turn them into slaves.
Yeah, but that's not what Asmongold is saying, right? Like, I've not heard Asmongold asking anyone to be arrested for what they say. He's not saying people can't protest. He's saying they can't protest in the middle of the street. Like, you have sidewalks. You have places where people can gather and protest just fine. Just don't stop the traffic. Like, the people that are driving cars are not responsible for your chimp out. And if the people driving cars would generally care about your chimp out, they would be on the streets as well. And then you'd have so many people that you wouldn't need to block the road. The road would be blocked just by the sheer volume of people there. That's what Asmongold is saying. And he's right. He's absolutely right. I don't disagree with him.
No, 98% of Americans are going to be against that. But Asman thinks that's a great idea. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm for freedom of speech unless it's left-wingers. How dare they protest our government?
Remember how funny he was when he talked about the horses, like the stuff that I showed earlier? You know, like that was fine. This is just cringe. Right? Like this is just cringe because, again, when you zoom out, you realize that Asmongold's rhetoric is pretty chill. It's pretty tame compared to what else is there. And the second thing is, like, he's also misinterpreting what Asmongold has said.
Let's take away all their rights. Did you see what he said? That make sure they can't ever vote again. And I don't know if his followers were like, what an idiot. We said freedom of speech, dumbass. Okay?
Well, they still censor our video games until that stops.
Or if they're like, yeah, we hate freedom of speech now that we're in charge. Let's turn them into slaves. Are 13 people?
I don't think, like, Asmongold is in charge of anything. I just want to point out, you know, and despite the fact that, sure, you know, in America, you have, like, the Republicans now. The European Union is still left-wing. The United Kingdom is still left-wing. Australia is still left-wing. The culture on the internet is pretty fucking left-wing. And so, no, and not to mention, like, no one is asking what Cenk is saying. It's not like, oh, you spoke out, you get arrested. The right-wingers are still at the cancel culture phase. Like, leftists are shooting people right now. You know, with the Charlie Kirk assassination, right? And it's not like when I say leftists are doing it, I'm trying to cast blame on every single leftist. But what I am saying is that when I do look how leftists reacted on Reddit, on Blue Sky, and all these other places, was in great support, right? Meanwhile, another event happened where two Latinx girls got murdered by what the left claims is a Charlie Kirk supporter. The situation was a lot more complex. Like, the guy was actually stalking those ladies before the Charlie Kirk thing, and he was definitely unhinged. And he basically said on a live stream it's because they insulted Charlie Kirk, he's going to take matter in his own hands or something along those lines. But when that happened, do you know what the right wing did? Every single person that I spoke with just disavowed, found it vile, and hopes that the guy is going to get punishment to the full extent of the law. No one was cheering, no one was applauding, no one was saying we need more of that. And so, no, like, I don't think it's equivalent. But anyway, right, I just wanted to show how the Young Turks has moved from, like, a fun show, you know, where it was, like, generally fun to watch and made you smile and laugh, to this level of moral busybodying and constant moral judgment and telling people how to think. and they used to take money from Qatar. Now, if you look at Qatar, they do exactly what Asmongold is asking. Like, Qatar actually, you know, turns their foreign workers into pretty much slaves, but, you know, slaves except everything but name only. There are many documentaries that show the horrible work conditions that Qatar does, like seizing passports and stuff. And so I guess what Asmongold should have said, instead of saying, oh, we need to enslave the illegals, he should have said, we need to adopt the Qatarian model. This is why political correctness can be navigated like a labyrinth if you know what to say, right? So don't say what Asmongold said. It's like, no, we need to adopt the Qatarian model for our foreign workers. Right? All of a sudden, you sanitize the conversation and Cenk doesn't get so upset because he actually did take money from Qatar. There's like also another thing. It's like, oh, Cenk is against illegals being made slaves. My brother in Christ, like, have you seen the level of human trafficking the cartel is doing? You know? So, like, it's already happening. I mean, especially under the Biden administration. Do you know how many kids were trafficked? Do you know how many women got trafficked or how many women are abused on the journey? So, like, okay, if we don't talk about it, if we pretend that's not happening, then it's fine. But if Asmongold is saying, you know what, maybe it should be legal. Maybe they should be placed in sweatshop, legalized, taxed, provided with a residence, and then be provided with security. Like, sure, you know, like they would have access to police. They would be able to. But, like, the current system, and I actually do speak with illegals and stuff, like, the current system in America is that they would join a company that doesn't give a shit about workers' rights, makes them work 11, 12 hours a day, and if they complain, or if they fail, or if they get into a health hazard, they're threatened with ICE. So this is the current system, right? But, like, this is the one that the left likes. It's just don't talk about it. Don't mention it, don't bring it up, and that's fine. But if you have a streamer like Asmongold making a joke, and he was joking, by the way, then it's outrageous. It's like, who is this ass man? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, right, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.